Hello, Wandering Keeper here. Welcome to Expectation Gulch. Today we are going to delve further into the Psi spellcasting mod and going to look at the qualifiers and limits and parameters around the rod and that determine what you can and cannot do. I'm going to look at limits and see just how this thing is put together. Psi, as you've already seen, is based around the focusing rod, which is your wand. You load your spell patterns in it. You code your spells here at the inscriber on a grid and load them into nodes, which you then install in your rod. Here, I've got 3 nodes installed. One is a projectile that is just a debug spell. It's a hello world sort of spell. It's in the tutorial. Forward Ned, which moves us forward 3 spaces, and forward more, which should move us forward 5 spaces, but does not. Saw this. Here is forward Ned selected, and we... Oh, your rod stats are too weak to cast a spell. Why are they? Well, let's find out. This is an iron rod frame with 3 parts. Remember, there's the frame, the crux, and the notch. The frame is the carrier, the crux is the CPU, and the notch is the memory slots where you put the chips with the programs. Don't worry about source or overflow or varnish or the stuff at the bottom. We haven't got there yet. Efficiency is the efficiency of the frame. It's a sort of a resistance rating, because the lower the efficiency, the more resistance the frame puts up to the power flow, and you end up having to pay a lot more power because you lose points to the frame's resistance. So the higher the efficiency, the better. Our iron rod frame only has an efficiency of 70. Gold frame would get us up to 75. From there it gets into Psi metal frames, and you can get all the way up to an efficiency of 95. Although there is a trade-off between your efficiency and your potency. Potency is the maximum power draw the frame will allow. This is the total power draw of all tricks in the spell. Remember, a trick is a precompiled object method. It's a precompiled object. It has its own operational methods. It will take a number of inputs based upon, its requirements. It's like dealing with any sort of, instantiating any sort of object class, really. I keep coming back to object-oriented programming because it's so obvious. So, if the total power draw of forward Ned is over 100, that's going to cause us problems. Efficiency just means it digs into our personal power stash a little harder, because it's going to dig into our monobar when we cast this. The crux determines 2 things. The complexity is the total number of glyphs on the grid. Your operators, your selectors, and your tricks. Connectors do not count toward complexity. They do count toward bandwidth, and we'll get to that in a minute. Complexity is your functional glyphs, operators, selectors, and tricks. So if there's the most I can have in a spell is 14. Projection is the number of tricks specifically. I can have one pre-compiled class instantiated in my spell. Everything else has to be done by hand coding at this level. The minor rod notch allows a bandwidth of 5. That is the width and height of the spell pattern on the grid. So with this minor rod notch, the biggest space on a grid it will support is 5 by 5. This is where compression comes in. You start having to rearrange your glyphs in order to get them to fit within the bandwidth. Notches is just the number of slots that we can plug spells in. This one's got 3 spell nodes already plugged into it, so there's 1 notch available. Don't worry about saved vectors, source, and varnish. Like I said, we haven't got there yet. So this is an introductory wand. It's pretty basic. It's only going to allow so much. Good news being that my lighting and warding blocks seem to be working, and nothing walked up on me while it was night. In order to interrupt my monologue, let's look at the table. So the table here, there is no way this spell is going to cast from this rod, because we can see right here the potency is too high. The complexity is 3. I can have a maximum complexity of 14 with the rod that I'm carrying. Maximum potency is 100. I got to bring that down. This is the cost for 47. This is the actual cost based on that 70% efficiency of the iron frame. I can have 1 trick. I've already got my trick. And my grid size, my bandwidth, is a maximum of 5, and as we can see, it is 3 across and only 2 up and down. So maximum dimension is 3. I am within that. I gotta bring this down. The way to bring that down is to bring the motive power down. Let's bring it down to a 4, and that brings the potency down to 200. Still not enough. Bring it down to 3. This is why forward Ned will not work, because Ned is set to 3. And it's 150, and we're just not capable of anything over 100. Bring it down to 2. There we go. And we're going to call it forward less. And let's see if we can recode this. Doesn't want to, because we are switched to a blank space. And it should, for some reason it's not one to. All right, I'm going to have to make a node. Not a big deal. Over here, we get a spell node. The table. And we take the spell node. Program the spell node, put our focusing rod in here. Forward more is not going to work. Let's take it out. Forward less should work. Now that we've brought it down. Whoops. It does help if we remember to take the rod out of the constructor. Forward less is selected, and we scoot forward. Look over to the right. See that monobar with the big psi over it and all the rippling purple and green? There it goes. See it dropping down, replenishing. Got 5,000 points. Now this is where a source comes in. Because a source, we go to the to here and we flip through here. It'll tell us that if we cast a spell, an overdraw, if we go out the bottom of the mana, it goes into hearts. A source is a buffer. We can recharge it up ahead of time, and we're going to make a glowing rod source. And we're going to attach it to our wand so that we have a safety buffer. So we'll clear the grid, our Psi-dust in, drop in our gold kit, make a glowing rod source. Come over to the constructor, drop our rod in. I'm not sure I can add this to the rod, and I can put it there, but I'm going to have to break this down. Okay, let me go back over here a second. Use the standard grid. And it doesn't want to break down. Let me try taking the spells out of it. Theoretically, I should be able to disassemble the rod. It helps if I remember to take it out of the constructor. We really ought to have a... Hang on a second. This is getting silly. Right. Silly person. Not log. Plank. Plank. Clear. A mahogany crafting table. A lovely decorative crafting table here. Still does not want to break it down. Well, I'll just have to make a new one. If I'm going to make a new one, I'm going to make a better one. So, let us start with it says you can put your rod in a crafting grid to revert it back to a frame, but this rod does not want to revert back to a frame. I don't know what the problem is. So, let us... I'm going to make a gold rod frame. I see that I can. It's easy enough. It's just a little more expensive than our previous one. So there's our frame. These all over here. We're going to need a crux. And if I'm making a new wand, I'm not going to make a cheap crux. We're going to go for the quick. The quick, where's that? We take this out. We need redstone. I have redstone. I know I've got some redstone around somewhere. Here we go. Redstone. Install redstone. That's not it, is it? No. What was the recipe? Oh, I need a Psi metal ingot. Well, this gets all sorts of extra special. Let us go see about making some Psi metal. Haven't done this yet. Supposedly, I should be able to take a empty wand. Oh, I need to spell a trick infusion. Let's see. Get a blank node? Blank node? I'm gonna need a blank node. Let's see. Now I need a projectile spell node. And we'll grab a blank spell node. I'm going to delete that one. And delete that one. And we're going to go trick infusion. Doesn't look like it takes any parameters. Lesser infusion. Okay. It's just going to be ouch. Done. Woof, that took a big chunk. But we now have Psi metal. And I can make a quick rod crux. And I need a notch. If I'm going to make a so let's see if I can do this. Okay. Clear that. This. 2 of these. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, 3. Go. And this time we have a glowing rod source. We're going to make a better rod here. Gold frame. Okay, gold frame tells us we have an efficiency of 75 now. Potency goes up to 175. Add the quick crux. Complexity 24, projection of 3. Give it the notch. 6 slots. Bandwidth of 7. Add the source. Allows us to overflow by 100 points. Not much, but it could save us from losing a heart of health. there is our new focusing rod. I'm going to put forward less, forward Ned, forward more into it. Put our old rod over here along with the debug. Debug is in the very first tutorial. It is the first spell you learn to cast, and all it does is print a debug message into your chat. Just so you know. So here is forward less, which is currently selected. Oh, thank you. Let's just go stash that up. There we go. Now our monobar is back. So there's forward. There's forward less. Here is forward Ned, which goes forward by 3. And here is forward more, which goes forward by 5. Oh, and it worked. It fizzled. We still can't do that one. Why can't we do that one? Because it had a cost of $250. And the most we can support is $175. So we cannot cast forward more from this rod. Cannot be cast from this rod. We just made a much fancier rod. But we cannot cast forward more from it because of the limits that we spoke about earlier. Started off this video speaking about. Our potency is 175, and the potency of forward more, as we recall, was 250. We need the next rod up. Quite possibly. Let me see. The next rod up is a Psi metal rod, and that will get us a potency of 250. We'll see, and we'll do that in the next video. We've explored limits, we've encountered them, we've built a new rod, we've transcended a couple of limits. We've done enough for one video. I'm the Wandering Beekeeper. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time.